Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Rahim Rahimtullah. Joining me today is Polina Brodik, a human rights activist at the Center for Civil Liberties. Polina, welcome to Viewpoint.
Hello.
You join us with just a week or so to go before a Russian court is due to announce the verdict in the case of Nadia Savchenko, the Ukrainian fighter pilot who was captured in the summer of 2014 and forcibly taken across the border into Russia. She is accused of involvement in the death of two Russian journalists. This has become very much a world issue. Savchenko is known in many countries. Perhaps to start, just tell us, what do you expect to happen in a week's time in the Russian court?
Well, it's not a surprise that most likely she will be sentenced to 23 or 25 years of imprisonment. And as she said, she would proceed her hunger strike for at least 10 days. But at the same time, we realize that she, even if she starts another dry hunger strike, she would be fed forcibly.
So you think, I mean, they're going to charge her for 23 or 25 years for involvement in these...
Most likely.
In these murders. She'll go to prison and that will be the end of the story. It seems unlikely.
Well, we will not stop working, definitely. And I think that the international community will not stop protesting against it. And it's a message for Putin and for the government, Russian government. And also Ukrainian government will proceed working on this case, of course, because it's impossible that this person would stay in prison for so many years. And also there are so many other Ukrainians who are kept in Russian prisons and for whom we try to find some solutions and the ways to transfer him from Russia to Ukraine. So she's not alone.
As your organization is involved in trying to raise awareness about the Ukrainian prisoners in Russia, of which Savchenko is perhaps the most well-known, but there are perhaps 20, 30 others who you're also advocating for.
Exactly. Savchenko is the most famous case, actually. During her dry hunger strike, there were more than 130 protests all over the world. Of course, this is the best-known case in the world, but there are also 24 persons more kept in Russian prisons right now, and we are working to raise awareness, as you said, and to advocate for their rights, because it's not only that they're kept there illegally, their rights are violated severely. They're tortured. They're kept without lawyers, without any help, even medical help. And we are trying to provide them to ensure that their rights are observed there.
The question of rights, I think, is an interesting one, especially in the context of Savchenko, because it very much depends on how you interpret her imprisonment. For example, here in Ukraine, they're very likely to see Savchenko as a prisoner of war. In Russia, she's being treated simply as an ordinary criminal. So therefore, for example, if she's a prisoner of war, they need to observe the Geneva Convention, which Savchenko's lawyers say is not happening. If she's just an ordinary criminal, different rules apply. I presume for you and your organization, the people in Russian prisons, are they all prisoners of war or political prisoners? Would that be more correct?
Not quite. There are several groups. So we categorize them. There are 25 persons, as I said, and there is a well-known as well case of Oleg Sentsov, for instance. And we know that there is Oleg Sentsov, Alexander Kolchenko, Alexei Cherney, and Gennady Afanasyev.
Sentsov, he was a filmmaker, and he was arrested in the occupied Crimean Peninsula.
Yes, they all were arrested there. Also, there is a case of the Chechen case, and we know about this case due to Arseniy Yatsenyuk, who is supposedly took part in the Chechen war.
Yes.
So, yeah. Also, there is a case of 3 spies, so-called spies. And also, there is a son of Dzhemilev, and the case of 26th of February, and the case of Hizbut Tahrir.
So the various different circumstances here for the different prisoners. Do you think then that Savchenko's case could act as a prototype for the other cases? For example, they say that we might see a prisoner exchange between Savchenko and Russians held here in Ukraine. Do you think, is that an option for all of these cases, or is it going to take a different approach?
Not for all, because, for instance, there is also a Russian citizen in this list who actually was born on the territory of Ukraine but took his Russian citizenship after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So these kinds of approach cannot be applied to him, of course. And for the majorities, it differs from case to case, but the most likely way out is the exchange, as we think.
That is going to depend, of course, on the politics as much as anything else. So what would you like to see here in Ukraine, the steps that the government could take to bring about this exchange? Because, as I understand, for Russia, it's going to be extremely difficult politically to make this happen, because Russia, until now, has never admitted that it is party to the war in eastern Ukraine. Therefore, it seems that if it were to take part in a prisoner exchange, that would in some way appear for them to be admitting some involvement, some guilt in what's happening in eastern Ukraine. That seems unlikely to happen.
That's true, but at the same time, there is also, I missed him, there is also Sergei Litvinov. He was accused in taking part in the ATO region,
this is the Ukrainian military operations in eastern Ukraine.
Yes, exactly. But actually, he's a farmer, and he never killed anyone. Although they said that he killed more than 30 people and raped some women, just to to disturb the demographic situation in the region, because these people speak Russian, and he tried to to stir the demographic situation between those who speak Russian there. But now, he is not accused of it at all. The prosecutor said that there is no ground to charge him with these crimes. Also, although he's still prosecuted in Russia, but under different charges. So there are some ways how they could, maneuver in this situation. But we will see, because we all know that Russia is unpredictable. It
is unpredictable. So these seem like show trials, in other words,
yes.
Is what the lawyers also for Savchenko have described her case. And so in Ukraine, then, what steps should the government be taking to try to de-escalate this situation and lead to a resolution?
I think it's not only Ukraine who could do something. It's up to international community as well, and other countries, because economic sanctions would help, probably, or would influence the situation to some way. And unfortunately, I'm not sure that Ukrainian side can, foster Putin to release all of these people. Of course, they have negotiations about it all the time, but it's not very effective, as we can see.
Nadia Savchenko's sister, Vera Savchenko, for example, recently said that we need a full economic blockade of Russia. Something like that threatens to really escalate the situation, though, perhaps to a level where we wouldn't want to see it. Do you agree with that, something like that, a full economic blockade of Russia? Is that not too extreme a measure?
It's a good question. Well, it sounds very extreme, I agree. But maybe threats would... Even only threats, if they stay at the level of threats, that would be helpful as well.
Polina, we're almost out of time, unfortunately. So just give us your final assessment then going forward. I believe, is it going to be a case of a double effort? It's going to take the international community to continue pressuring Moscow. It's going to take civil groups like yourself to continue to raise awareness and organize other civil activities to try to bring this all to some kind of resolution. Is that ultimately the way forward?
I think yes. The only way to struggle with this situation is to combine our strength. And it's separately we cannot help Savchenko and other of these people. Only together we can, protest and do something better.
All right. Well, Polina, many thanks for joining us. We'll have to see when the verdict comes in a week's time exactly which way events will go. Many thanks for joining us here on Viewpoint.
Thank you.
You've been watching Viewpoint. I've been joined by Polina Brodyk, a human rights activist at the Center for Civil Liberties. So we have time for. Do join us again, and many thanks for watching.